Okay, kitty pies, it's March 6th, 2022, and this is the completed 42 World War II steel wheel model Gravely L. So the story on this tractor was last year, exactly to this day, on March 6th, I live in Maryland, I went up to Connecticut, New London, Connecticut, picked this up from a guy. It took me over a year to finally get up there and purchase it. COVID issues were shutting down borders, so basically I couldn't even get up there to look at it. So I went up there and purchased it. It looked really clean. Somebody had painted it all in orange, and it looked like it was all there. So I loaded it up, brought it back down, and I started the restoration on it. What I wanted to do was I wanted to have it ready for the Windsor show up here in Pennsylvania, just outside of York, Pennsylvania. But what happened was I always like to get them running first, just to see if they're good runners before I start tearing them down. So I did. Started looking into it. The magneto was shot, so the cylinder and everything looked pretty decent on it. But anyways, I had to have the magneto sent out, and because of COVID and supply issues, it took probably 4 months to get that rebuilt. 4 to 5 months maybe, somewhere in there. Got it on there, got it running, and then I started getting slammed at work. Everything started opening up last year, and I didn't have time to work on it. I wanted to have it ready for Windsor. So after Windsor, I said I wanted to have it ready for the blow-in in February of 2022. Well, I thought I had it ready, but come to find out, I need to rebuild the engine. The lower bearing was spun in it, and Brian Jennings did that for me. Great job. He does good work. He's real meticulous on his quality, the way he does things. Very impressed. So anyways, this is the completed restoration. I've been putting a lot of pictures on the group Facebook page just so it's like a document, or so people can look back, reference it. So here's what I did to this. Basically, I separated the engine from the transmission, took all the bodywork pieces off, and I didn't want to sandblast the transmission or the engine because I didn't want to get dirt or grit anywhere. So I hand stripped all that with wire brush on a DeWalt drill, those little drill brushes, lacquer thinner, rags. I probably have almost 10 hours in stripping that engine, another 6 or 7 hours in that transmission. And then it's a brand new oil filter there. I still have to paint the cap in the front there. So it was pretty much all there. It needed engine work. They had the reboard 20 over, new piston, new rings. Had the head decked. I had the cylinder decked. The carburetors rebuilt. Let me see here. Brian Jennings made a nice new fuel line for me. He even put aviation fuel in there for me. He made new lines for the throttle choke. That's all handmade. Does really good. He does really good work. New cap, restored. I do body work, so I restored all the body work on this. There's the tag. I posted how to do all this. There's the controls. I still have to slide those handles on a little bit more. I gotta sand the inside of them so they'll slide on without cracking. It's got a new spark plug, new head gasket, and I know this is probably not factory, but that's the plug wire I wanted on there. Once again, a new oil filter, which are really hard to find. That's like the holy grail there. On the hood here, I put little rubbers here so it won't scratch coming down. I put little nylon bushings on the inside. Hopefully it'll keep it from scratching. We'll find out. It'll scratch, but I put new seals on the whole tractor. These hubcaps here are bare getting off without damaging them. I had to do the body work on those. The wheels weigh a ton. I had them sandblasted, and I had the hub sandblasted, and I had the head sandblasted. It's too bad the head is missing 2 fins here. Most of them do right there. Hopefully someday I can get a head that won't have it. The exhaust was in kind of rough shape. It was all there. I had to put new studs in here. I had to repair the bottom here. It was somebody had brazed the bottom. And this here, if you notice this exhaust, how it comes out and it tapers in the end there. You don't see too many of them to do that. Also on this tractor here, when me and Brian were putting it together, this is the original arm here. This arm must have broken off, and somebody put the wrong arm on here, and it was hitting against the handlebars here. Come to find out, these earlier ones have offset. These are offset here out. The newer ones are more set in more. So keep that in mind. Look at that magneto. Weaver's Magneto in Shiloh, Ohio. Rebuilt that. Did a really, really nice job on that. It's got a really good hot spark. Brian put all new cam seals in, magneto seals. He did a valve job for me. This is the high temp engine paint. I didn't put it really heavy on it. I just went a little lightly on it. That's probably not the right color. I'm going to change that. You can see it's starting to bubble a little bit there. If you put the paint on too heavy, it's going to bubble. So you want to go real light on paint, especially when it comes to heat paint. Now this paint here on the transmission, that is the handlebars, the controls here, these here, and the inlet tube for the carburetor, and the exhaust, and the hub paint. That's that Eastwood 2K aerosol can. Now it's got the hardener in it in the bottom. You puncture the bottom, shake it up, and it mixes just like auto body paint. And that is awesome stuff. It's expensive. It's $25 a can, but it holds up really good. It's super strong. Got a nice gloss on it. It dries fast, and the best thing is when we were putting this together, we had to keep taking that carburetor out because it kept leaking. So it doesn't eat the paint off. We had a lot of gas dripping all over this here, and this is still looking pretty good because when you have hardener in the paint, it will hold up the gas and oil and chemicals a lot better than just a regular aerosol can. So the tank, I don't think is original. I'm going to possibly in the future look for another tank, but that tank looks pretty good. Everything was original on it except for that lever. The tank wasn't original. Somebody had done some engine work to it that didn't really, I don't know, I think it wasn't running right. When I first started it up, it was running really super hot. I thought I had the time advanced on it. Come to find out, the lower bearing and the lower case was spun. And that was probably why it was running so hot. So, oh, and the pulley on the back was wrong. I got to find another pulley because apparently on these pulleys here, there's serial numbers here. I'm going to be looking for one of them for the future. That's the original. Well, I had a spare fuel sediment bowl. You could see. I think that was a new one too. The fan is painted silver. Everything's got hardener in it. I'm not a fan of powder coating stuff, just because you can't tint it really. Once it's on there, it's almost impossible to get off. If you don't get a good shine on it, you can't get a good shine. There's the ID tag. So this one here is an early 42, right after Pearl Harbor. They must have, they ran out of rubber right away, so they started putting the steel wheels on. They were still using the aluminum heads. They still had the brass tags probably in stock. and they probably had the aluminum lower cases still in stock. They just kept using them until they ran out. Started switching over to steel at the time. So there you go, Kitty Pies. I'm very impressed with the way it runs, the way it looks, and hopefully it'll stay this way for a while. So I want to thank Brian Mitchell for the handles. Brian Jennings, what an amazing craftsman he is. He does really good work. So just take your time. And just to let everybody know, I have $3,600 in this machine, so I don't mind spending the money to do it right, and that's what things cost today. So, you know, the days of the $300 restorations are over. So, there you go. It's been exactly a year since I picked this up. March 6th, 2021 when I picked it up. It's March 6th, 2022 now. Okay, it's going to go back to the Moen, Colchester, Connecticut. It'll be probably 20 miles from the original owner who owned this tractor. So hopefully I'll get the guy who sold it to me. I could take pictures with him, with the tractor, and maybe we could track down the original owner that had this originally. So there we go, Kitty Pies. Thanks.